Lord of Mysteries is an open world upcoming MMORPG that a lot of players didn't anticipate ever seeing. It's part of a franchise of novels and multimedia that span millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of copies sold in China. And based off of what we've seen, it looks beautiful. But what exactly is it? That's what I want to take a moment here today to go through. This is an officially licensed MMORPG adaptation of the hugely popular Chinese web novel Lord of Mysteries. It is being developed and published by Spark Nexa. It is being built on Unreal Engine 5 and designed as a multi-platform title. You take on the role of a Beyonder in the novel's mystical world with a heavy emphasis on the lore's pathways and sequences, occult conspiracies, while being set in a Victorian era. It is currently in the late stage development with a large team of over 500 to 600 total developers working on it. Pre-registrations are open via the official global website for anyone interested. Yes, I did say global. That is because the game is planned to release globally. They stated that 2026 would have its global launch along with China, although if from what I've read online is to be believed, China may be getting it a little before global does. The setting is once again a Victorian, Edwardian, European styled mystical world steeped in occult horror, steampunk elements, Lovecraftian influences, and Beyonder pathways from the novel. It is set roughly 2 years after the end of book 1, allowing canonical integration of events, factions, and locations like Tingen City, Backland, Giant King's Court, Grey Fog, Sephira Castle, and so much more. Exploration involves unraveling layered mysteries, dealing with corruption and sanity mechanics. There are supernatural elements involved. The world, based off of what we've seen and based off of what I've heard, feels very much so alive, with NPCs, dynamic events, lore-accurate details taken directly out of the novel. There are single-player story quests. These are much like Final Fantasy XIV. They are ARPG style and very heavily narrative driven. You play as a character that has connections to other canon characters, with the world outside of that narrative being a shared MMO environment with lots of multiplayer activities. The game is being built on Unreal Engine 5. Trailers and beta footage have shown very beautiful character models, stunning lighting, realistic Victorian architecture. Seriously, for an MMO, this is some ridiculous AAA quality. The combat is going to be a hybrid real-time action combat system rather than tab target. Once again, this is being developed as an ARPG. The combat is smooth, it's very fluid, kind of akin to Honor of Kings. There are going to be cutscenes, iframes, stagger and knockdown mechanics, skill combos. It is also confirmed to be a full open world MMO, and based off of what has been said online, it feels much more dynamic than traditional MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV. Pathways are going to determine your role and your play style. Skills are themed around the different novel abilities such as divinations, doors and portals, spectator influence. PvP is also going to be a big focus with arenas, guild wars, faction wars, open world PvP, massive battles. There are supposedly going to be hundreds to thousands of players in city and faction conflicts. There are dungeons and raids that are team-based and supposedly, once again, rich in content. The beta feedback was very polished. Response was very positive as well. Taking a moment here to backtrack to the pathways. Progression is built around the novel's Beyonder pathways. You choose one at creation, which locks your core abilities and role, but allows customization and some form of flexibility. There were 6 pathways available in the first beta test. There are more planned post-launch, with priorities like the Monster, Wheel of Fortune, Lawyer, Black Emperor, Assassin, Demoness. There were 6 pathways available in the test phase. The Seer, which is the full pathway, a ranged DPS with divination and mystical elements. The Apprentice, a door pathway. A magic assassin with high burst and mobility. The Spectator, the visionary pathway, a healer support. The Warrior, Twilight Giant pathway, a melee DPS. The Bard, Sun pathway, a tank with melee sub DPS. And finally, the Mystery Prior, the Hermit pathway with additional DPS focus. Each pathway has unique mechanics. For example, the Seer, the Law of Convergence, discourages too many identical pathways grouping due to sanity drain. This is not a gacha game where you pull for various different characters. Instead, there is a gacha with an emphasis on cosmetics, convenience, much like Where Winds Meet or Honor of King's World. Based off of the discussions I found online, the vast majority of beta testers said that the game was fully enjoyable and almost everything was fully achievable via in-game play and grind, with a slight bit of content accelerated by spending. which does of course lead you to some pay to win debate, but there is no actual paywall present. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. This is a fully functional MMORPG. It has a shared open world with hundreds of players per area, guilds, factions, co-op dungeons, large-scale PvE and PvP, world bosses, faction wars, city battles. There are safe zones, cross-platform play. Once more, there's a seasonal system with daily and weekly caps for fair progression. The beta feedback did say that there was relatively smooth performance even in crowded fights, with rich dungeon and PvP content present. The first closed beta test took place in February 2026. This was limited to Tingen City specifically, was also available only in China and required a WeChat and Chinese phone number. This was PC only with a data wipe. Reviews were very positive. There's a second closed beta test coming. Signups were opened in March 2026. The beta test does begin in June 2026. I believe it was June 26th. Registrations are still open for anyone that wants to potentially get in if you have access to a WeChat or a Chinese phone number. The Chinese App Store does list an official release date for November 1st, 2026. As they did confirm the game is launching globally this year, a global launch is expected around the same time or shortly after, probably following open beta feedback or closed beta feedback for global. This is a game that is deeply faithful to the novel's pathways, sequences, the Beyonder lore, acting method, hints, mysteries, themes of sanity and corruption, which has drawn a lot of positive press for the game. This isn't some cheap spin-off that's aim and goal here is to just milk players for every single cent it can. Based off of some people that I asked that played the beta test, the MMO mechanics kind of feel similar to Justice Online, but has a lot more content and that Western fantasy setting. Overall, beta impressions for the game were very positive. Players claimed that it was very polished for the state that it was in, very faithful to the source material, and it is a very ambitious game. I think the one caveat here is that it is launching fully cross-platform, meaning that it is coming on PC and mobile. But if games these days have taught us anything, Where Winds Meet, Wuthering Waves, Honor of King's World, all these games that are releasing as PC games with mobile crossplay functionality are just as good, just as beautiful, just as fun as PC exclusive games, and in some instances, even better. I think we're long since past the era, the time where mobile crossplay functionality was a detriment to the success and overall quality of a game. And moving forward into the future, I think in a lot of instances, the vast majority of MMOs are going to prioritize mobile play as well, because there's just such a large market for it. Blue Protocol Star Resonance is a great example here. There are so many people that play it on mobile because it is arguably the best MMO on the platform. Either way, this game has the potential to be incredibly popular. It has a budget unlike any other. It has fans numbering in the millions to tens of millions in China and globally. It's a part of a franchise and intellectual property that has taken the world by storm in recent years, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. It might end up sucking, sure, but at the end of the day, I would rather the game release and get to try it out and have it ultimately suck rather than having nothing to actually play. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.